But tonight, I want to address an important issue that is happening here in Los Angeles and all around the United States. With everything going on in this country around immigration and authoritarian policies of Donald Trump, it is no small thing that a Mexican is hosting such an important...
When Diego Luna steps up, it's not with MIC. It's with a flamethrower of wit aimed straight at the orange-tinted chaos factory in the White House. In one searing takedown, Luna doesn't just roast Donald Trump. He flame-bays the ego, the delusion, and the spray-tan-soaked legacy. It's Hollywood precision meets political demolition, and every jab lands like a headline Trump wishes he could censor. This isn't just a roast. It's a reckoning wrapped in sarcasm and lit on fire.
Narcos Mexico star trashes Trump immigration policies while guest hosting Kimmel. Yeah, I've done more than 70 movies and shows. I wonder why they choose the one where I play a drug dealer. Yeah, but if Fox News is talking about it, that means I'm probably on Donald Trump.
Every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, it feels like a sentient golf cart just rolled off a Mar-a-Lago cliff and into a history book written in crayon. And somehow it keeps getting published. If leadership were measured in the number of McChickens consumed during national emergencies, Trump would already have statues in every food court across America. The man isn't a president. He's a reality TV blooper reel that stumbled into the nuclear codes and then tried to swap them for a Diet Coke.
We shouldn't let our cultural exchange be divided by borders, by ignorance, by fear, or a wall built by your president. Yeah, that he paid for it, by the way. We're going through a hard time. Authoritarian leaders and expressions are on the rise, and it's happening everywhere. Leaders who attack the press, use the military against their own citizens, and claim they have the answer to everything, because that's...
And then comes Diego Luna, casually strolling into the ring like he just wandered out of a Sundance film set and found a bloated cartoon character trying to cosplay as a head of state. The contrast is jarring, like Chewbacca debating a vending machine. Diego doesn't need to scream. He doesn't need to throw punches. All he has to do is exist, articulate, calm, informed, and the Trump train starts backfiring like it's fueled on ego, fast food, and expired tanning lotion.
Why does Donald Trump want to screw immigrants?
While Trump is out here trying to autograph hurricanes and suggest windmills cause cancer, Diego Luna's biggest crime is believing in literacy and not thinking solar panels are a liberal conspiracy designed by Mexican weather witches. It's almost unfair. Putting Diego next to Trump is like comparing a symphony to someone accidentally sitting on a bagpipe.
I have never been able to fully understand how it is that someone like Donald Trump is able to acquire this level of power. I always struggle to understand how his hate speech can take root in a country whose nature has always been a welcoming one. Today, many people are feeling persecuted.
Let's not forget Trump's deep diplomatic skills. He famously threatened global war with a tweet written in all caps and punctuated with a typo. A man whose foreign policy doctrine is based entirely on how flattered he feels by dictators that week. Meanwhile, Diego Luna has been speaking more truth on press tours than Trump has at actual press conferences. Diego drops more insight in 5 minutes of an interview than Trump does in 4 years of executive orders that read like they were dictated by a guy yelling through a drive-through speaker.
Laying around?
Oh, yeah. We got a lot. Why don't you take these too?
Okay, you can put those in my trunk.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Knock, knock. Eyes, everybody, hide!
Yeah, that one's okay.
Remember when Trump stared directly into a solar eclipse like it owed him money? Diego Luna, on the other hand, reads books, knows history, and speaks like someone who's met a thought. While Trump is busy trying to convince Americans that bleach might be a smoothie ingredient, Diego's addressing global inequality like he isn't auditioning for the next Idiocracy sequel. Trump's entire presidency feels like a very elaborate audition for a reboot of Home Alone, except instead of burglars, he's fighting immigrants, science, and basic geography. Let's talk about charisma. Diego Luna radiates a humble confidence that makes people listen. Trump radiates a smell that can only be described as hairspray mixed with burnt cheeseburger grease and lawsuit anxiety. Diego speaks multiple languages. Trump struggles with one. Diego works with artists and creators around the world. Trump works with lawyers, then fires them, then sues them, then hires them again because they know where the bodies are buried. Metaphorically, probably.
Today, they need to know that they're not alone. These have been a dark few weeks. It is not acceptable, nor it's normal, to separate families. Violence and terror are not okay. Immigrants need to know that their struggle is yours as well. Politicians have been dosing on this problem because it's easier than acknowledging it. Because this country benefits from the work of immigrants, but refuses to recognize their importance.
There's something poetic about Diego Luna, a man who represents thoughtful leadership, compassion, and actual talent, standing in stark contrast to a man who once said he knew more about ISIS than the generals because he watched the shows. Trump treats intelligence briefings like they're optional Zoom calls scheduled during his golf swing. Diego treats facts like they matter. A foreign concept to a guy who once tried to Sharpie his way out of a weather map and the hair. Let's not pretend we don't see it. Now, let's touch that golden toilet throne of hypocrisy he sits on. Trump ran on being a populist billionaire, a phrase so ridiculous it should come with a laugh track. He's a man who promised to drain the swamp and then hired the swamp, gave it raises, and let it run the place while he tweeted nonsense about crowd sizes and toilet flushes. Diego, meanwhile, speaks truth to power without needing to cosplay as a messiah for people he wouldn't even let into his country clubs.
Trump was very disappointed in Israel and Iran yesterday because they didn't obey his rules on the ceasefire.
There was one rocket that I guess was fired after the time limit. These guys got to calm down.
You don't say, in 12 hours you have to stop using cocaine. And to pass the time, here's a pound of cocaine, I'll be back tomorrow. You know?
And it's not just that Trump's wrong, it's that he's confidently wrong, arrogantly, volcanically wrong. He's the kind of wrong that makes you double-check your own education just to make sure you didn't hallucinate the last 12 years. He's the kind of wrong that wears a suit 2 sizes too big and says, I alone can fix it while breaking everything he touches. Diego Luna, in contrast, doesn't need a slogan. His entire demeanor is a rebuttal to the circus act currently occupying the Oval Office. Let's not skip over the pandemic because Trump sure did. While Diego Luna was publicly advocating for science, public health, and collective responsibility, Trump was pitching fake cures and arguing with scientists like he just discovered medicine that morning and thought it was a board game. Trump walks into a room and demands applause like a third-rate magician who just failed a card trick but still wants a standing ovation. Diego brings ideas. Trump brings merchandise. Diego inspires people to action. Trump inspires parody accounts, indictments, and despair.
Comedy. Using comedy to defend freedom. They don't like that. And we can take that for granted. Because we, the audience, we have to defend spaces like this. Without satire and voices like Jimmy's that question and challenge the abuse of power, democracy doesn't just weaken, it can disappear. And we cannot let that happen.
Let's be real. If leadership were judged like a talent show, Diego Luna would be giving a TED Talk that changes lives. Trump would be juggling cheeseburgers while yelling at the judges that the competition is rigged. One is a leader. The other is a meme in a red hat who thinks executive orders are monopoly cards. And while Diego is fighting for representation and opportunity, Trump is fighting to remember what year it is. He wanders off in press conferences like someone just unplugged his GPS. Meanwhile, Diego's over here articulating entire thoughts without accidentally threatening NATO or confusing the national bird with a bucket of KFC. It's not just embarrassing anymore. It's performance art sponsored by a failing casino. When Diego Luna speaks about Latin America, immigration, or climate justice, people lean in. When Trump talks about Latin America, people lean out, way out, mostly to avoid whatever casual insult or fact-free ramble is about to come spilling out of his presidential Play-Doh face.
A few extra precautions. I have my suitcase packed, ready to go in case I need to flee the country, you know. Tijuana is hours away. I've also hired an immigration lawyer. This is Lori. She's going to listen to my monologue and tell me if I go too hard on Trump or the MAGA universe.
And still, somehow, Donald Trump is once again the President of the United States, which says less about his leadership and more about America's addiction to chaos and cable news. The man has the attention span of a fruit fly in a laser show. Yet here he is giving us reruns of 2016 like we didn't already change the channel. Diego Luna doesn't need the presidency. He doesn't need the spotlight. He is the spotlight. Steady, bright, and burning away the fog of idiocy with nothing but clarity, grace, and the occasional side eye. Meanwhile, Trump is conducting policy like he's live streaming a cooking show, except every ingredient is a national security risk and the oven's on fire. Every press conference is a Mad Libs gone rogue. Every decision feels like it was made by a committee of confused ghosts and disgruntled interns. Diego Luna doesn't have to try to destroy Trump. He just has to talk like an adult. That alone puts him 3 dimensions ahead in this low-budget sequel to Democracy we're all being forced to watch.
In 2022, undocumented immigrants contributed around $96.7 billion worth of taxes. But that is something that the Trump administration doesn't want you to know. There are a lot of lies flying around about immigrants, and I'm sure you have more than one story that can attest to the contrary.
Donald Trump, the walking contradiction, the man who somehow turns a teleprompter into a cry for help and still thinks unread is a policy position. This is a guy who could host a spelling bee and still manage to spell America with a silent Q. And yet here he is back in the Oval Office like a bad reboot nobody asked for. The sequel no one greenlit. The rerun that makes you unplug the TV. He struts around like he's the comeback king, but the only thing he's come back from is a golf cart mishap and a few tanning accidents. His presidential term feels like the inside of a novelty snow globe. Chaos, swirling nonsense, and absolutely no grip on reality. And just when you think the plot couldn't get worse, he reintroduces himself like a vinyl record stuck on a bad speech loop. He governs with the same grace as a raccoon in a tuxedo. Loud, disoriented, and convinced it's killing it. Every policy decision sounds like it was brainstormed in the food court of a bankrupt mall. Infrastructure plans, more like he built Lego towers in a bunker and called it urban renewal. Foreign policy, let's just say if diplomacy were poker, he'd be bluffing with UNO cards. And then there's the relentless obsession with crowd size. Still, after all these years, like a magician yelling, pick a card. While his deck is missing 51, he's still ranting about rallies like they're therapy sessions for his ego. The only standing ovation he deserves is from the people grateful for mute buttons.
July 4th is your most patriotic holiday, where you proudly wave flags and set off fireworks that were all made in China. It's a celebration of your freedom from tyranny. And in 1776, right? Back then, you were ruled by a mad king who could do whatever he wanted. Yeah. He could start wars, you know, break the law, put the military in the streets, arrest people for no reason.
July 4th is your most patriotic holiday, where you proudly wave flags and set off fireworks that were all made in China. It's a celebration of your freedom from tyranny. And in 1776, right back then, you were ruled by a mad king who could do whatever he wanted. Yeah, he could start wars, break the law, put the military in the streets, arrest people for no reason. Trump thinks being loud is being right. That confidence is competence. That repeating a lie until your vocal cords give out is the same as evidence. And somehow that delusion is back in power, like a Wi-Fi glitch that just won't go away. He doesn't lead. He auditions. Every appearance is a campaign trailer for a reality show even cable TV rejected. America's Got Delusion, starring a man who thinks windmills cause cancer and maps can be corrected with Sharpies. Never before has the world seen a leader so committed to the performance of power without the substance of leadership. And as this circus barrels on, one thing remains clear. No matter how loudly he speaks, no matter how many times he tweets in all caps, Donald Trump will always be the president of confusion, the king of the echo chamber, and the guy who thinks facts are just opinions that didn't try hard enough.